This frightening tale opens up with a man waking up and finding himself confined inside a cube made of metal. He searches for a latch to let himself out of the cube. As soon as he finds it, he turns it around, causing a small trapdoor to open. However, the door leads him to another cube instead of the outside world. He climbs down into it when he is suddenly sprayed with acid. At first, the man starts screaming in fear, but when he feels no pain and the spray turns off, he stops and starts looking around. He starts licking the liquid from his skin, assuming that it is water when he notices his skin melting off. He begins screaming as his skin melts, and all that is left of him is blood and bones. Meanwhile, Eric and Dodd, two technicians, monitor the prison inside the cube, meeting a ghastly death. The two of them are locked up in a facility as well, but they have access to the files of the people trapped inside the cube. Eric opens up the file of the man who had died earlier and finds that he was a notorious criminal and had murdered 12 people before he was trapped in the cube. Dodd tells Eric to not go through the files as it is prohibited. At first, Eric questions why, but when Dodd insists that they follow the rules, he closes the file and continues playing chess with Dodd. Eric was an extremely smart man and wanted to question everything around them. However, Dodd was not willing to answer them and would tell him to shut up. Eric then tells Dodd that he imagines waking up in the cube one day. But once again, Dodd tells him that it will never happen and that he is only imagining it. Later that night, the elevator at the facility arrives at their floor with a table and clutch. Dodd moves towards the elevator and informs Eric that food has arrived for them. When he removes the clutch, they find 2 pills, one for each of them. They eat the pills and go back to sit in front of the monitors, observing the rest of the prisoners. Just then, they receive a message that instructs them to remove memories of a woman called Cassandra. As Eric goes to remove her memories, he gets a glimpse of her life. He gets flashes of her memories and watches Cassandra strapped to a bed with her daughter. They somehow manage to escape and wander into a forest when a soldier with a cube logo on the front of his shirt spots them. He shoots at Cassandra, causing her to fall to the ground. When the soldier comes close to her, she grabs his mask and removes it. She finds that the man who shot her had the same cube logo on his forehead as well. Before she can do anything about it, she loses consciousness. Once her memories are removed, Eric asks Dodd if he remembers when he started working as a technician. As he expected, Dodd doesn't remember anything other than being in the facility. Eric finds it odd that neither of them have any memories of getting to the facility. At this point, Dodd gets angry and tells Eric to get back to work and stop asking questions that he won't be getting answers to. Inside the cube, Cassandra wakes up. She begins looking around confused. When she realizes that she is trapped, she starts shouting and asking where her daughter is. However, because her memories have been removed, she's unable to recall her daughter's name. Feeling helpless, Cassandra tries to look for ways to escape from the cube. Just like the first prisoner, she spots the same trapdoor. She turns the latch and it opens up in a similar cube. She then notices a man lying unconscious on the ground and decides to climb into the new cube and confront the man. As she's climbing down, a man named Haskell comes out and grabs her leg. He pulls her away from the cube's wall, causing her to fall. Haskell assumes that Cassandra was a threat, but soon realizes that she's a prisoner just like him. When Cassandra notices the same cube logo on Haskell's forehead, she starts screaming at him, assuming that he was part of the group responsible for separating her from her daughter. In her anger, she even spits on him and accuses him of taking her prisoner. He calms her down and tells her that he, like her, does not recall how he got inside the cube. He then introduces her to some of the other prisoners, namely Mary Hold, Jellicoe, and Bartok. Cassandra still does not believe and begins making her way into another cube. Before she can go inside, everyone warns her that the cubes have hidden traps that are deadly. Bartok offers to climb into the cube instead of her. He takes off his shoe and throws it inside the cube. When nothing happens, Bartok climbs inside and goes to the middle of the cube. Suddenly, sharp wire-like threads appear all over the room and trap Bartok in between. Everybody watches in horror as the threads begin to tighten and eventually cut Bartok's body into pieces. Still reeling from the shock of seeing Bartok die, Cassandra spots letters written inside the cube. She immediately takes off her shirt and starts writing them down. She tells everyone that she thinks the letters might be coordinates. Each letter has a comma in between them through which they can guess the positions of the cubes. She finds 24 letters and says that they might have to cross 25 cubes to be able to escape. She then drafts a rough map for them to follow and deduces that all of the Z-axis rooms are safe to cross. Back at the control center, Eric teaches Dodd new tricks for winning chess. He still continues asking Dodd questions and asks him about the secret exit from the cube, but Dodd refuses to answer him. He then grabs Cassandra's file and finds the consent form missing. He finds this odd as every prisoner inside the cube had a criminal record and usually signed a consent form. Intrigued by this, he starts researching who Cassandra is. He finally discovers her picture in a newspaper and takes it to Dodd. He reveals that Cassandra was a well-known protester who would protest against political parties. At this point, Eric realizes that the government was trapping everybody they had a problem with in the cube, which would over time kill them. All of a sudden, the landline goes off. When Eric picks it up, he receives orders from the higher-ups to prepare a machine. The two of them line up a large machine and turn it on. As soon as the machine is turned on, a monitor lights up. They then notice a man beaten and tied up in the middle of a dark room. Eric finds that it is a man named Owen, a technician who used to work with them. Eric sees this as a warning from the higher-ups telling them that if they ask too many questions, they will face the same fate. Dodd starts asking Owen questions, but Owen does not recognize him, revealing that his memories had been removed as well. Then Dodd asks him if he remembers his name, to which Owen replies that he does. Dodd presses the yes button, then asks him if he believes in God. Owen replies that after witnessing everything that he did, he no longer believes in the existence of God. Hearing this, Dodd presses the no button, causing Owen's body to light with fire, and he burns to death. Seeing this, Eric becomes horrified. He angrily tells Dodd that believing in God was a personal opinion, and that answer would have differed for everyone, and that Owen should not have been burned to death for having a different opinion. At that moment, the elevator arrives on the floor once again with food. Eric quickly makes his way to the elevator and gets inside despite Dodd telling him not to. When he gets inside, he only notices two buttons, giving him the choice to either go down or up. Eric presses the down button. The elevator begins moving down, and suddenly, Eric finds himself inside a cube. At the same time, the higher-ups arrive at the command center and take over. Their leader, Jax, asks Dodd to quickly locate Eric, knowing that he knows all of the cube's secrets. Meanwhile, Eric knows that the cubes work in coordinates, and being the smart man that he is, he begins visualizing where he needs to go in order to avoid the cubes with traps. The scene then changes to Cassandra and the group. Cassandra goes inside a cube along with everyone except for Jellicoe. As Jellicoe is climbing inside the cube, the trapdoor automatically closes, leaving her out. When Cassandra turns the latch and opens the door once again, she finds that Jellicoe's no longer there since the cubes are moving. Jellicoe finds herself alone in a cube, but as soon as she gets up, Dodd causes an injection to appear on the floor and injects her with a virus, causing her to lose consciousness. A while later, the group reaches the cube Jellicoe was stuck in and finds her unconscious body. Mayor Holt turns her body around and, much to his horror, finds half of her face burned off. Just then, Jellicoe gets up and begs Mayor Holt to help her. However, he accidentally pushes her too hard, causing her to fall and hit her head. Then Haskell grabs Mayor Holt's hand and turns it around. He finds that Jellicoe had scratched his hand. He asks him to stay away from them because he could be infected. He tells Cassandra that they will have to leave Mayor Holt back or he will kill all of them, but she refuses. Haskell then tells Mayor Holt that he will have to check all the cubes first if he wants to stay with the group. When Mayor Holt turns the latch and opens another trap door, when Haskell pushes him aside, he falls to the ground, his face starts blistering up, and he dies inside the cube as well. While Cassandra fights with Haskell for killing Mayor Holt, Eric spots the two of them. He tells them that they did the right thing because Meyerhold had been infected with a deadly disease. He then tells them about himself and informs them that they are all criminals who had been given the death penalty. To escape it, they had willingly volunteered to be locked inside the cube and had even signed consent forms. Haskell attacks him and claims that he had not done anything, but Eric points out that he did just kill a man. Then Cassandra asks Eric about her daughter, and he tells her that he saw her in her memories but does not know where she is. Before another fight can break out between them, he tells them that he can help them escape through a third exit. He reveals that the cubes have two main exits and that they have authorities outside them that would kill them. But he knows another exit and they need to reach a specific cube to get to it. During this, Jax and Dodd overhear the conversation, and Jax causes all the trapped cubes to surround them so that they cannot escape. He also installs an electrocuted trap in the cube that the group is in. While he does this, Jax notices Eric's drawings of the two of them, painting them as superheroes. He sneaks into the back room and cuts off the wires, causing the cubes to go into reset mode. When Eric realizes Dodd's doing, he tells the group that they only have 10 minutes before the cubes reset and the traps are activated again. He sets a timer and the three of them begin moving through cubes. Back at the command room, Jax spots the wires and kills Dodd for helping the prisoners. Jax then activates a robot chip inside Haskell's brain, causing him to become a robotic machine getting controlled by the authorities. He immediately attacks Cassandra and Eric, but they manage to overpower him and escape to the next cube. With only 3 minutes remaining, they spot the exit and are about to jump through it when Haskell attacks them again. Eric drags him back and impales him on a knife protruding from the cube wall, killing him. Cassandra and Eric jump through the exit and find themselves underwater. They swim to the surface and reach a forest. However, the authorities follow them and they manage to tranquilize Eric. When he wakes up, he finds himself strapped to a chair with his memories getting removed. He asks Jax for his consent form, who informs him that he has already signed it. He then asks about Cassandra, but when Jax does not reply, he begins laughing and realizes they were unable to catch her. The tale ends with Cassandra, who had been reunited with her daughter, hiding in the forest and showing her drawings made by Eric. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.